Howdy folks, AJ coming at you again, your resident vintage gamer, and it is a good time to be an old school gamer, and I'll tell you why. Couple things. TSR is back, we've already talked about that. They've released Gygax magazine, which is a throwback to the original Dragon magazine, and since the last time that we talked, I got the PDF version. Anybody that ordered the magazine also, as a bonus, was notified afterwards that we were going to get it on PDF format. So I have not received my hardcover one yet in the mail. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But what more importantly, I did redeem the PDF code, and I was able to download it and look through it, and I am overjoyed with how they did the magazine, because they basically recaptured the content and the format and the feeling you get when you read it as a gamer that from back, in the 70s and 80s. I mean, they brought that feeling back, because the articles in there are the same format as back in the day with Dragon magazine. They talk about the ecology of a particular monster. They have the cartoons in there. They have pieces about what it's like just as a hobby to be a gamer, things like that. And it was like getting in a time machine and going back to the golden age again. So, number one, Gygax magazine, thumbs up all the way. You guys nailed it. Now, back to the topic of the fact that I haven't gotten my hardcover yet. I'm not alone. There's other people on Facebook who actually ordered it before it was actually shipped, before mine was shipped, that haven't gotten theirs yet. But people are getting them slowly but surely. And apparently there was some bugs that needed to be worked out in the method that they used for shipment and so forth. But needless to say, they've addressed them all, and they're claiming that for the future, issues, that won't be a problem. And I tend to believe them, because they have been really good about responding to all the concerns and everything. So anyway, thumbs up all the way on that. Now, back on the 15th, when I released a video called Exciting Times, I was talking about this gaming renaissance that we're going through, and I actually kind of made an observation that I felt that it was going to expand in some way, shape, or form. And I didn't know about it. I didn't know about what I'm going to tell you. I just had a feeling. So on the 21st of February, 6 days after I made that video, it was announced that every Dragon magazine in the past, and every Polyhedron, which was the Newszine, they called it a Newszine, I just call it a baby magazine, of the RPGA, Role-Playing Game Association. That was their little mini magazine. They called it a Newszine. I have many of them, from being a member. But apparently all of those, as well as the Dragons, all are available in PDF form now for free. You can just go to the website and they're there. And I will put that link down below for you guys, in case you didn't already know about it. So, as I suspected, maybe it's just the fact that the wonder that is the internet has assisted us in creating this renaissance and making all this material from the golden age available to us once again. Maybe that's what's spawning this. But the fact that a lot of the old timers are the ones that are leading the charge. These aren't, there are people that are young people that are picking up the torch and running with it, but a lot of it is the old-time guys that are bringing this stuff back and saying, you know, let's not forget about how it was back in the day when before the computer games and the consoles and all that. You had sit down at the table, pen and paper, pencil and paper, you know, Dungeons and Dragons, Rune Quest, whatever you name it, it was there. So kudos to everybody that's doing that. And I can't think of the name of the website that's doing the PDFs for the Dragon and the Polyhedron, but it will be. I'll put it in the comments section down there. So there's another thing I wanted to talk about, which was they mentioned they had the launch. Well, I shouldn't say the launch. They had the press release conference about the PlayStation 4 about a week ago, and you know, it was big news and everybody was all excited about it and everything else. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about it because they didn't really show it. You know, they talked about the features and all that. The one thing that was the glaring problem above all else that I saw was the fact that it will not be backwards compatible. You will not be able to play your PlayStation 3 games on your PlayStation 4. And to me, that's a stupid move. It really is. Because I have a PlayStation 3 and I got a bunch of games for it. I'm not going to buy a PlayStation 4 unless if that thing dies on me, then maybe I'll buy a PlayStation 4 when it comes out. But if it's still going, I'm still going to be playing that. They're not going to get me to buy the same games that I have for that again for the PlayStation 4. Atari, back in the 80s, knew about backwards compatibility. The Atari 5200, which I have the box for. I don't have the console anymore, but I still got the box. Great big star on the front of the box. Backwards compatible. Play your Atari 2600 games on this console. They got it. So it's either one of two things. It's either that there wasn't enough thought put into the PlayStation 4 about things like backwards compatibility, or it's simply a money grab where they're just trying to get you to buy. I tend to think it's that one. I can't believe that they just kind of went, oh gosh, we didn't think about that. No, I don't buy that. So I'm thinking it's more of the money grab thing, and I just don't think it's going to work out for them. So anyway, that's it on the PlayStation 4. That's all I got to say about it. Now, for this particular video's item from my collection that I'm going to showcase, I decided to go with, it's a board game called Outdoor Survival. And this was made by Avalon Hill, and it's what was called a bookcase game. I'll move my finger there. And there was a whole bunch of these, and the idea was that they, usually had the big board games that were in big long boxes like this, like Monopoly and all that. Well, these are much more compact, and they can sit on a shelf, much more, and you could have a bunch of them, lined up, with it facing out. Very, very handy to be able to get at which game you wanted. So they just came up with the term bookcase game, and they were very popular. And I picked this one particularly to show you guys because this game came out about the same time that the original Dungeons & Dragons came out. And it even specified in the books for the original Dungeons & Dragons that this was the game that you needed if you wanted to do outdoor adventures in your D&D game. They recommended this game because this was the game board. I don't know if I got it upside down or not. Let's see here. No, that's right. Okay. So you got three. I mean, you can see this is a good piece, and there's two more pieces that go with it. And it's just outdoor terrain in hex form, and the idea was with the Dungeons and Dragons using this, they were suggesting using this because it made it easy to just put your miniatures or whatever on there to show your characters moving across the terrain. And then they even recommended using the movement chart that came with Outdoor Survival. Because it basically, if you're going through really tough terrain, it would slow your character down and so forth and so on. And they even recommend using that chart to make it easier for the dungeon master to referee what people were doing, how far they could move in a turn or in a day or whatever. So, and I was lucky enough, I didn't know it. I looked it up here when I decided to do this video. I have the first printing. I have the 1974 first edition, and it is 100% complete. I went through it. I've got everything, and it even came with this cool little book called a primer about wilderness skills, and it really doesn't have any bearing on the game whatsoever, but it's basically just kind of an outdoor survival guide, on how to make a lean-to. How to identify dangerous snakes, edible plants, all that stuff. Again, it's not for use with the game whatsoever. They just threw it in there kind of as a little bonus thing. And it's just kind of neat. So that is the Outdoor Survival game. So if you have what's called OD&D, original D&D, and you have Outdoor Survival, you have everything that was needed back in the day to do a rudimentary beginning campaign for Dungeons and Dragons. So luckily for me, as a collector, which is just a kind of a cool name for hoarder, I happen to have all of it. So anyway, I'll put all the links below for you guys, and until next time, we will catch you on the flip side.